We call him Shakespeare of India. We regard him as the greatest poet and playwright of ancient India. The world recognizes him as one of the greatest poets of all time. Yet, few people have read his exhilarating poems and plays, and very few known about his life and work. This is mainly because he wrote in classical Sanskrit, once the pride of India, but now designated as a dead language. Like England's Shakespeare, Kalidasa's life is also shrouded in many mysteries. A few miles from the city of Nagpur in central India can be seen a sleeping town, Ramtek, known for its ancient Ram temple and a Kalidasa Smarak, that is, memorial, to commemorate Kalidasa's writing of Meghadotam, one of his famous works. It is believed that Kalidasa composed the exquisite long poem Meghadotam sitting on the hillocks of Ramtek and looking at the advancing dark monsoon clouds from there. Kalidas perhaps lived in this region within the periphery of Ujjain, the capital city of a thriving empire ruled by the legendary king Vikramaditya. Stories with considerable embellishment exist about Kalidasa's early life, partly as folklore without any authenticity. One of the most popular stories has been that in his childhood he earned the name of Murk Kalidasa, that is, Kalidasa the fool, after he was found cutting the branch of a tree sitting on the wrong side, which could have resulted in a fatal fall. Another interesting story surrounds his marriage and his attainment of poethood. It is believed that as part of a conspiracy hatched by some courtiers, the uninitiated young Kalidasa got married to an intelligent princess named Vidyotama, and when she found out that her husband was not educated, Kalidasa was banished from the palace and asked to return only after he became a scholar. Spurned by his wife, Kalidasa travelled to various places and finally came to the Gadkalika temple, which still exists on the bank of the river Kshipra in Ujjaini, where he started his tapasya. Here he received the grace of goddess Kali and became a poet. It is also believed that Kalidasa was not his original name and he was given the name Kalidasa because he received the blessings of goddess Kali. Nothing is known about whether the learned Kalidasa returned to his wife in the palace or whether he married somebody else. There is this controversy that there were at least 3 poets with the same name Kalidasa during the same period. William Shakespeare also faced similar accusations. Some scholars, based on the flora and fauna mentioned in his works, believed that he lived in the Himalayas, while some others thought he lived in Ujjaini. According to Lakshmi Dhar Kalla, who lived between 1891 and 1953, a Kashmiri Pandit and Sanskrit scholar. Kalidasa was born in Kashmir and later moved southwards to Ujjaini. Kalla, in his book The Birthplace of Kalidasa, supported this view by citing Kalidasa's mention in his work about Kashmir's flora fauna, that is, saffron plant, deodar trees, and musk deer, geographical descriptions like valleys and glades, some legends like Nikumba in Nikumba Purana, and Kashmiri Shaivism, that is, Pratyabhijana philosophy reflected in Shakuntala. Kalla's theory of Kalidasa being a Kashmiri Pandit migrating to Ujjaini appears to be a plausible one because it matches the most common belief that poet Kalidasa, the genius, served as one of the Navratnas in the court of the great King Vikramaditya at Ujjaini. It is also a tragic commentary on the Indian genius, that is, rishis and gurus, that unlike the Greeks who built academies and institutions to perpetuate their arts, culture, science, and philosophy, the great Indian kings, rishis, and scholars never bothered to create institutions solely depending on the ashram Gurukul system. Although ancient India had been a treasure house of the highest forms of art, culture, literature, and philosophy, and produced a galaxy of great men and women in science, arts, and literature. Kalidasa was one of them, and he would have gone into oblivion but for his rediscovery by the Western scholars like Sir William Jones, Montgomery Sculpture, Goethe, and Sir Monier Williams. Kalidasa wrote in classical Sanskrit. In an age when writing paper, pen, pencil, printing technology, indelible ink, etc., were unknown, and even the Devanagari script of Sanskrit was not fully developed, one can imagine how difficult it was to write and preserve the manuscripts. The writing material consisted of mostly bird feather pen, charcoal ink, vegetable colors, burjpatra, talpatra, and tamarpatra or cotton cloth. To preserve, make copies, and popularize the manuscripts for generations must have been a Herculean task, and therefore the literary creations were necessarily confined to the author's family or a small coterie of friends and royal patrons. It is suspected that Kalidasa, who had been a prolific writer, must have produced a lot more wonderful poems and dramas, many of which must have been lost, and only a handful of them that received royal patronage and were performed before royal audiences finally survived. Kalidasa's works, which have survived through centuries and are indisputably attributed to him, have been two epics, three plays, and two long poems. These are: number 1, Kumar Sambhavam, that is, Mahakavya or epic. It is about the birth, adolescence, and marriage of goddess Parvati with Shiva and birth of their son Kartikeya. Number 2, Raghuvansam, that is, a Mahakavya. Regarded as a masterpiece, it tells the story of King Dushyantha's falling in love and Gandharva marriage with Shakuntala, daughter of Vishwamitra and Menaka, abandoned at birth but adopted by sage Kanva. Owing to a curse of sage Durvasa, the king completely lost his memory and refused to accept her when a pregnant Shakuntala went to the palace to be united with the king. She could not show the royal ring given to her as she had lost it while taking a bath en route in a river. When the ring with the royal seal was found by a fisherman from the mouth of a fish and returned to the palace, King Dushyanta remembered everything and the remorseful king sets out for the forest to be united with Shakuntala and his son Bharat. Number 4. Malavikagnimitram, a play. King Agnimitra falls in love with an exiled servant girl Malavika. After the queen comes to know about it, she tries to get her killed, but it is discovered that Malavika is actually a princess. The queen accepts her and agrees to marry her with King Agnimitra. Number 5. Vikramorvasiyam, a play. Following an unfortunate incident in heaven, the celestial nymph Urvasi was sent back to earth as a mortal with the curse that the moment her lover lays his eyes on the child she will bear, she will die and, being immortal, return to heaven. However, after coming to earth, Urvasi and King Pururava fell in deep love and she did not wish to return to heaven. Following various mishaps, which she overcame with courage, the curse is lifted and the lovers are allowed to remain together on earth. Number 6. Meghadutam, the cloud messenger, a Khandakavya. This long poem tells the story of Yaksha trying to send messages to his lover through the dark monsoon clouds. This is one of the most popular and most sublime poems unparalleled in Sanskrit literature. Number 7. Shyamala Dandakam, a long poem. In this long poem, the poet describes the wonderful beauty of goddess Matangi. Thank you for listening. Now some word power. We call him Shakespeare of India. We regard him as the greatest poet and playwright of ancient India. The world recognizes him as one of the greatest poets of all time. Yet, few people have read his exhilarating poems and plays, and very few know about his life and works. Exhilarating, EXHILARATING. Exhilarating means making one feel very happy. It is believed that Kalidasa composed the exquisite long poem Meghadutam sitting on the hillocks of Ramtek. EXQUISATE. Exquisite means very beautiful and delicate. Exquisite means used to describe feelings such as pleasure or pain that are extremely strong or qualities that are extremely good. Stories with considerable embellishment exist about Kalidasa's early life. Embellishment, EMBELLISHMENT double Lishment. Embellishment means something added to make another thing more beautiful or interesting. Another interesting story surrounds his marriage and his attainment of poethood. It is believed that, as part of a conspiracy hatched by some courtiers, the uninitiated young Kalidasa got married to an intelligent princess named Vidyotama, and when she found out that her husband was not educated, Kalidasa was banished from the palace. Banish. Banish. Banish means send someone away from a country or a place as an official punishment. Spurned by his wife, Kalidasa travelled to various places and finally came to the Gadkali temple. Spurn, Spurn, spurn means to refuse to accept something or someone because you feel that thing or person is not worth having. Kalla's theory of Kalidasa being a Kashmiri Pandit migrating to Ujjaini appears to be a plausible one because it matches the most common belief that poet Kalidasa, a genius, served as one of the Navaratnas. Plausible. Plausible. Plausible means seeming likely to be true. It is also a tragic commentary on the Indian genius, the rishis and gurus, that unlike the Greeks who built academies and institutions to perpetuate their arts, perpetuate, Perpetuate, perpetuate means to cause something to continue. Kalidasa was one of them and he would have gone into oblivion but for his rediscovery by Western scholars. Oblivion, Oblivion, oblivion means the state of being completely forgotten. To preserve, make copies, and popularize the manuscripts for generations must have been a Herculean task. Herculean task means an extremely difficult task. The literary creations were necessarily confined to the author's family or a small coterie of friends. Coterie, Cotere. Coterie means a small group of people with shared interests or tastes. It is suspected that Kalidasa, who had been a prolific writer, must have produced a lot more wonderful poems. Prolific, Prolific. Prolific means producing a great number or amount of something. When the ring with the royal seal was found by a fisherman from the mouth of a fish and returned to the palace, King Dushyanta remembered everything and the remorseful king sets out for the forest. Remorse, Remorse. Remorse means deep regret or guilt for a wrong committed. Thank you very much.